Minister Indranee Rajah.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I was so hopeful there for a moment that, but always happy to have Mr. Ng's speeches and to respond to them. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank Mr. Don Wee and Mr. Louis Ng for their support of the bill and for their comments and suggestions. Members raised questions around three themes. One, the processes to revoke or suspend chartered accountants and to delete designated entities, DEs. Two, regulating those who prepare financial statements. And three, talent-related challenges and emerging trends in the accountancy sector. I will address them in turn. Mr. Ng sought a few clarifications on the process of revocation or suspension of a CA's registration and deletion of DEs from the Act. I would like to first highlight that the processes to revoke or suspend CAs and to delete DEs are currently provided for in the Singapore Accountancy Commission Act. There are no changes to these provisions arising from the merger. Today, ISCA is the only designated entity appointed by SAC to confer the Chartered Accountant designation. I will now address Mr. Ng's questions in turn. First, Mr. Ng asked whether DEs will be required to provide in their membership rules a right for CAs to be heard before they revoke or suspend a CA's registration. This is not provided for under the Act because the rules of natural justice would apply to accord affected CAs with the right to be heard before any adverse action can be taken against the CA. Second, Mr. Ng asked about two aspects of ACRA's powers with respect to DEs and CAs. One, whether ACRA has the power to conduct a review if the DE did not take any action against the CA in respect of an alleged contravention by a CA, or if the DE has revoked the CA's registration. Two, whether ACRA has the power to impose lighter sanctions than what the DE meted out, or to overrule the DE's decision upon review. I'll take these questions together. Generally, ACRA has the right to conduct a review on the actions taken by the DE against the CA under Section 35G of the Act upon being informed by the DE of its investigation undertaken. ACRA's review power is limited to revocation, suspension, or extending a suspension on a CA. Such review power is intended to deal with cases where more serious punishment than what the DE has meted out may be warranted. If such a CA is aggrieved by the decision of the DE, including the DE's revocation or suspension of his or her registration, and feels that his or her case is deserving of a lighter punishment, there is a separate channel for the CA to appeal to ACRA under Section 35 of the Act. In an appeal, ACRA has the power to then take various actions as necessary, including quashing the revocation or suspension of the CA. Third, Mr. Ng asked why the opportunity for the CA and the DE to submit reasons arises only after ACRA has reached an initial view on whether the CA's registration should be revoked or suspended, or the DE's designation deleted, respectively. In practice, ACRA will review the relevant materials in the proceedings that the DE has previously undertaken, which will typically include the explanation given by the CA, before arriving at the preliminary view of an intended revocation or suspension. The member should rest assured that the final decision will only be made after allowing the CA an opportunity to be heard. Lastly, Mr. Ng asked for the factors that ACRA will take into account in deciding whether a DE should be deleted from the Act. When we appoint a DE, which is ISCA today, it is because we see a role for the DE in ensuring professional competence, standards, and ethics of the CAs. As part of the appointment, the roles and responsibilities of the DE are specified and agreed between the DE and SA currently or in future ACRA. The arrangement enables the government to work with partners to build and nurture a strong accountancy sector. In assessing whether to continue with or delete a DE from the third schedule of the Act, ACRA would take into account the effectiveness of the arrangement with the DE in ensuring that the desired outcomes for the sector are met, as well as the ability of the DE to fulfill the roles and responsibilities. Next, I move on to Mr. Wee's suggestion to regulate those who prepare financial statements. Specifically, Mr. Wee suggested to mandate Chairperson of Audit Committee of Publicly Listed Companies to be a CA, and all financial statements of publicly listed companies to be signed off by a preparer who is a CA. Today, the Code of Corporate Governance already requires at least 2 members, including the chairperson of the Audit Committee, to have recent and relevant accounting or financial management expertise and/or experience. This takes into account the need for the Audit Committee members to have diverse finance and accounting skill sets and experience in business contexts beyond a professional designation. Under the Singapore Exchange listing rules, listed companies must comply with the Code of Corporate Governance or provide justifications for non-compliance in their annual report. On the suggestion to require all financial statements of listed companies to be signed off by a preparer who is a CA, we will have to study the proposal further, as it would require careful consideration on areas such as impact on business costs and the talent pool. Today, we hold directors responsible for the preparation of financial statements given their fiduciary duties to shareholders over the company's finances. Mr. Wee and Mr. Ng raised concerns on the talent shortage in the accountancy sector and highlighted the need to do more to expand the talent pool. Ensuring a healthy pipeline of talent is indeed important. The Ministry of Finance and the SAC have convened an Accountancy Workforce Review Committee, or the AWRC, to recommend strategies to better attract, develop, and retain talent. This committee comprises key industry players, including our national professional body for accountancy, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, ISCA, and academia. We will share more details about the recommendations in due time. Mr. Wee asked for a review of the SEAQ, in particular areas such as entry pathways and curriculum coverage, as well as to include emerging areas such as forensics, valuation, and sustainability in the SAQ curriculum. I'd like to assure Mr. Wee that the SAC has a professional education council and 2 learning and assessment committees, 1 each at foundational and professional program level, that review the SCAQ curriculum and ensure its continued relevance as the industry evolves. The council and committees draw representatives from the industry and academia. Some are also ISCA members. I agree with Mr. Wee that a more comprehensive and holistic review of the SCAQ from time to time is useful. In this regard, work is currently underway to review the SCAQ program to ensure that the qualification and syllabus stay future-ready and industry-relevant. This is one of the areas that the AWRC will look into. ISCA has also separately convened an SCAQ advisory panel to assess and provide recommendations to the government on possible enhancements to the SCAQ. I look forward to the recommendations of the panel. Next, I will touch on sustainability, a trend that both Mr. Ng and Mr. Wee highlighted in their speeches. Mr. Wee suggested for the government to partner professional bodies to help accountancy professionals build capabilities in sustainability-related areas such as sustainability reporting and assurance requirements. On this front, SAC will be providing funding support to ISCA to develop sustainability reporting and assurance certifications targeted to be launched in the next 2 years. We will continue to monitor these trends and see how the government can do more to enable the green agenda. Beyond building capabilities, there have been calls for more consistent sustainability reporting standards to facilitate comparison. Mr. Ng asked if the Accounting Standards Committee would be developing a position on the future sustainability-related standards set by the International Sustainability Standards Board, or the ISSB. Currently, Accra and the Singapore Exchange RegCo have set up the Sustainability Reporting Advisory Committee, comprising relevant industry stakeholders, to develop a sustainability reporting implementation roadmap. Part of the committee's work is to study various reporting standards, bearing in mind the need for international convergence. The committee's work is well underway, and recommendations will likely be issued for public consultation sometime next year. In conclusion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the proposed amendments in this bill seek to effect the merger of Accra, SAC, and ASC into a strengthened accountancy function under one entity to harness greater synergies across complementary functions. Just like how things are evolving around the world, the government will continue to respond with agility and transform ourselves to better serve the industry. The merged entity will build on the good work done by Accra, SAC, and ASC and continue to work closely with industry players to grow the accountancy profession and sector. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move.
There being no clarifications, I put the question. The question is that the bill be now read a second time. As many as are of the opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Accountancy Functions Consolidation Bill.
Committee stage what day?
Now, sir, I beg to move that Parliament will immediately resolve itself into a committee on the bill.
The question is that Parliament will immediately resolve itself into a committee on the bill. As many as are of the opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is that clauses 1 to 43 stand part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Bill to be reported. Second Minister for Finance.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to report that the bill has been considered in committee and agreed to without amendment.
Third reading what day?
Now, sir, I beg to move that the bill be now read a third time.
The question is that the bill be now read a third time. As many as are of that opinion say aye. To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Accountancy Functions Consolidation Bill.
Leader.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that at its rising today, Parliament do stand adjourned to a date to be fixed.
The question is that at its rising today, Parliament do stand adjourned to a date to be fixed. As many as are of that opinion say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Leader.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that Parliament do now adjourn.
The question is that Parliament do now adjourn.